This is a bizarre podcast, Dogs Must Die. Mi chiamo Grant, and you can call him Chip. Let's go.
I never thought it would come to this. But here we are.
Here we are, indeed. And before we get into it, I know that this show doesn't often have content warnings for what we're going to discuss because it's generally understood it's going to be a lot of over-the-top violence and buckets of blood, but this is a special week where I think we really ought to stay at the top.
Yep.
This week's episodes have a rape scene and an on-screen depiction of a suicide.
Yep.
So please go forward with that knowledge in mind. Make an informed decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that oh boy. So,
Yeah.
okay. We're starting off with episode 17, Babyface. Or is it localized baby head?
Which is just a wonderful bit of nonsense, actually.
Yep, baby head. I almost like it more than Babyface.
While we're talking about it, we might as well say that this is named for the musician Babyface, who had a very successful R&B career in his own right, but is much more successful, like commercially and awards-wise, as a songwriter and producer.
Mm-hmm.
Like he won the Producer of the Year Grammy like 3 years in a row.
Oh, wow.
The dude wrote Mariah Carey's biggest hit ever. Like,
oh, shit. Okay.
Come on. He produced I'll Make Love to You. Come on.
Oh, man. So we're starting off right where we left off with the assassin team member, the purple hair, the purple visor, collecting Bucciarati's blood off the ground where moments ago he was fighting Pesci.
Mm-hmm. Wearing his most of a jumpsuit?
Yeah, it looks like on the side, like it's got a really deep neck, and then on the sides it looks like something took a big bite out of two chunks. Like if something just, like a animal with a square-shaped jaw just took a bite 2 times. So this guy is Malone. Yeah, he's got Bucciarati's blood now in a vial. Clearly something to do with his stand. And, boy, we just get into it with this one.
Yeah. Malone's English voice played V in Devil May Cry 5, and he was a production assistant on Pen 15 and Adam Ruins Everything.
Oh, shit, okay.
While his Japanese voice was Ryuji in Toradora. So, very different character.
Yeah. Everyone's, like, awake and also a normal age again on the train. At least those that didn't die.
This I don't get. All these passengers who just survived a near-death experience who are all just really pissy at service workers now, like, come on, have a moment of reflection. There is a reason the train has stopped, and it's because you all almost died. You remember that? You were there.
Yep. A bunch of angry people are harassing the remaining train workers, and as they're making a whole bunch of noise, there's a woman in her booth, a really fancy one, very padded, cushy looking seats in there, with a glass of wine.
And she's more upset than everybody, specifically at this crying baby that was orphaned, in the mass death attack that you all just survived.
Yeah.
How dare that baby cry over its dead mother?
Come on. She's looking out the window as she's complaining about this, and when she looks back, Malone is just in the train car with her.
This lady should just be glad that Yoshikage Kira is dead, because this is his perfect victim.
Oh, yeah.
It's a pretty lady who is very, very poorly behaved.
Mm-hmm. Malone just immediately starts, like, rummaging through her purse in front of her, pulling out her ID to find her name and her birth date and all this stuff, and she just slaps him clean across the face. And he likes it. That's the slap's good. The slap's good for him, and not just for like, oh man, I like when a lady slaps me. It's like good for
Good for his plans.
Good for his
his intentions. So yeah, he's very impressed that this lady is 24 years old, is capable of slapping, and he wriggles out his rainbow-colored tongue in a color shift moment to be very pleased that her pinky tastes like she has a type O blood.
And this is not his stand power, by the way. He just goes, yep, tastes like type O.
So this is all so good because it's the complete opposite of Bruno Bucciarati, the guy he's looking for. So at this moment, I'm just guessing, like, is it an opposites attract thing? Just finding the most incompatible opposite person to Bruno to sort of seek him out.
So, okay. This dude's got a big chunky ass laptop out.
Yes, he does. With a face on it.
And the laptop appears to have no hinge, so it's just open. You can't close this thing.
It's like a tablet PC, but like the stone tablets from Mount Sinai size.
Yeah. And all this stuff he's finding out about this lady, he's rapidly typing into the laptop. It's just like, ooh, she's an O-type Pisces, and Bucciarati's like an A-type Aries or whatever. And it's like, oh man, she smokes and drinks too. Ooh, shit, do you do drugs? That'll be even better.
So she's freaking out, which makes him even happier, I guess. And so he flips around the laptop saying, hey, have you heard of the Kama Sutra? Pick your favorite of these 9 kissing positions.
Yeah. And it's like the least Kama Sutra looking diagrams I've ever seen. It's just like mannequin heads with pursed lips just smooching.
I like that the Spider-Man kiss is involved. There is like rotate your partner's head 180 degrees vertically is an option.
Yeah. So as he's showing her the diagrams, like legs and arms sprout out of the bottom of this laptop, and now it's got the little head on the bottom of it, the little face, and it starts crawling at her. And as she tries to escape through the window, like one of its hands reaches out and like hits the window and cracks it. And then the stand starts talking.
Yeah.
Through the computer monitor, it just types out its dialogue.
That dialogue is specifically fertilization complete, 3 minutes until birth.
Yeah.
So this is the rape stand.
It's a rape stand.
This is the forced pregnancy rape stand. And like it's a horror classic. Go back to Alien, obviously, but that doesn't mean it belongs here. Just because you've got pedigree doesn't mean you should be here.
It's a bad stand.
It's a bad stand.
When we get into the mechanics of the stand, too, it's not even just because it's a rape stand. That's the worst part, obviously. But also, it's just a confusing stand. It's got a lot of shit going on.
Yeah. So that brings us to the OP, and we cut back to the action with our heroes, where Coco Jumbo is hitching a ride with a trucker. I'm not sure if the deal was cash, grass, or ass. I don't know. Maybe I'll find out later.
Well, the chair that Coco Jumbo is underneath, there's like a big burger on the top of the chair, and maybe they just gave him a burger. It's a simple man. Inside
Mr. President, am I on a watch list for saying that? Wait a minute. So inside Mr. President, Giorno is also looking at Trish and thinking about her terrible emotional burden about, the stand awakening and her relationship with her newly found father. So I'm sure he's about to fall into the jubbly jiggle sacks as well. But no, they are interrupted because Sex Pistols 2 and 3 popped out of the turtle, grabbed that burger, and brought it back, and they won't share with number 5, who is tattling to Mista about it.
They're growing little guys. They gotta eat.
I hope they don't grow too much. They gotta fit in revolver chambers.
I really do like the animation of the two of them eating the burger, because they're just rapidly going at it like, I don't know, it's like they're little lawnmowers or something. But now that the burger's gone, the truck driver goes like, hey, what the fuck? Where'd my burger go? And then he notices the turtle and picks it up.
This looks like one of the magic money turtles. Wait a minute.
And as he's like looking at the turtle and looking in the gem, And he's like, what is this key, huh? Mista just reaches up towards the ceiling, and his fist shoots out of the key and just punches the dude in the face and knocks him out. Or no, it doesn't knock him out, because then they would just crash. I don't know. He punched them really hard.
They do just crash.
Oh, they do just crash. That's right. Thank God the turtle survived.
So yeah, the truck goes careening into like the guardrail on the side of the highway. It's wrecked. They can't go anywhere, and everybody's like, "What the fuck was that? Why did we crash? What's going on?" And Mista practically just whistles and walks away. He plays dumb. His impish little guys are making trouble for everybody. So back on the train, the computer La computadora flashes birth complete. Mm-hmm. And so if you're thinking, just calm down, it's all allegory. What you're reading too much into this. The first thing this lady does when she wakes up is she touches herself to see if Malone came inside her.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what the fuck. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, what the fuck is this? She's obviously very angry and upset. She reaches for the phone, calls for someone to come to the train cabin because she wants...
last living representative of the rail line, I think.
Yeah, because she wants to report...
She's in a righteous, murderous fury.
Yeah. She wants to report, hey, there's a fucking weird motherfucker on the train who I think maybe just tried to rape me. I don't know.
And no one in the history of phone calls has ever made one while in this position.
No.
She is like crouching like a cat doing a big stretch in the sunny spot. I don't know why this is how she takes her phone calls.
I don't know. Yeah, like the last living train employee shows up and she starts telling him what just happened, saying like, hey, this guy like knocked me out even. I've got like this lump in the back of my head. And as she's explaining all this, you see like a little lump on her back, like underneath her shirt, sliding up, and eventually a tiny little stand guy.
Just a purple little guy clinging onto her neck and is very curious about what all mommy's special words mean.
Yeah, yep. Now, here's the one aspect of the stand that's fun. Like, what if a stand was a baby and you had to teach it?
Yeah.
That's the part that's fine. Could we just have a stand that's just a baby for no reason? It doesn't have to become a literal baby in the way that babies... Oh, God. But the stand can communicate with Malone through his laptop. His laptop stand.
Araki invented Wi-Fi, basically.
Yeah.
As Malone is on his laptop next to the train out in the field, near his friend's dismembered body parts, I guess.
I mean, last episode at the end, he said that they sucked, so I guess he just doesn't care.
So he's getting all these questions, all these messages. It's like, hey, what does fuck mean? What's fuck?
Yeah.
What is shit? Tell me about shit.
Yeah, what is kill? And so Malone has this big, like, children's book that's, picture book.
Of all the big African safari animals.
Yeah,
for some reason.
Here's Mr. Lion and Mr. Zebra and Mr. Elephant. And after he introduces all of these animals, he shows a picture of Bucciarati, and then he explains what kill means. And on the laptop, there is an image that, don't know how he made it, but it's an image of Bucciarati having his head torn off his body as all those animals he just introduced eat his whole body. And then he goes on to introduce things kids like to play with, such as tops, baseball, bowling, ice skating.
And so then he flips the page, and it's all of those, like, all that sports equipment being used to kill all the other members of Passione in very fun ways.
Yep. The top especially, like the top, the bottom little bit of it is like stabbed into Mista's forehead, but then like the actual string you would use to make the top spin is just wrapped around his neck as a noose. I like that Narancia, when his skull is getting crushed with the bowling ball, he's also, the pins were set up behind him too, so that you could still actually bowl while killing him.
Well, what? You're not going to get a deadly strike? Are you saying we should spare him? So yeah, he says into his computer, like, this is what murder means. Makes sense?
My favorite bit of this is after you see the image of all the other Passione members getting killed by sports equipment, he says, the ones dying are pieces of shit. When it's one, it's piece of shit, but together it's pieces of shit.
Yeah. It's very Sesame Street in its way.
Yeah.
So then he gets a very special message, a very important question. Hey, computer dad? I don't know. What should I do if I gotta pee real bad?
And Maloney's answer is just take a piss. If you have to pee, just pee.
So the little baby stand does, down mom's neck. And so back in the train car, this lady interprets it as there's some sort of leakage in like the AC vent or something. This train is gross and broken and I'm not dealing with it anymore.
Yep.
It smells awful. I hate it. I'm leaving. She's very foul-mouthed. She's very angry. She has every right to be.
This is the worst fucking train ride you could possibly have without it just completely derailing and killing you. Like,
Which it did to a number of people.
I mean, yeah.
So back in the computer, the baby face stand is like, Mom said I reek. She's abusive.
And Maloney goes, oh man, she's a great mom. And so this woman, just really pissed off, justifiably so, starts storming out of the cabin to just like leave the train. And as she's walking down the hallway, she gets deleted Tron style.
She explodes into voxels.
Yeah. It's a neon glowing like pink crisscross grid appears over her whole body. And yeah, just chunks of little cubes start getting deleted from her. And then she's gone.
This is the first thing that really upsets Maloney because, quote, her parenting was too good.
Too good. He's killing too early. Then as he's lamenting that, his motorcycle drives away. Because his stand has grown up enough that it knows how to drive motorcycles now.
Even though when we last saw it, it was, 3-4 inches tall? How is it reaching the pedals? Nobody knows.
Yep.
So yeah, the idea of the stand, the one like germ of an idea that sort of metastasized and is that it's a baby that you raise in backwards land where everything that's bad is good because it turns into an angry little murder creature.
Yeah.
And part of what gets cut from the anime adaptation is how versatile the stand is.
Yeah.
Because, like, when Maloney is building it, it's giving it, like, remote tracking and this capability and like, okay, very, very long range, so I don't have to get close to Bruno.
Yeah.
So who knows what sort of traits a baby head could have for a different job. But for this job, it's just a angry little guy where up is down and bad is good.
Yeah. You know, when he was being created, it was using Bucciarati's blood sample. Yeah, he's just a guy who can track Bucciarati wherever. Absurdly long-range stand. Although, it needs a motorcycle to get anywhere. It's just a guy. He would have to run otherwise.
That'd be fun. It's just a foot race to Venice.
It could be like a thing that spans over multiple episodes of the show where they're fighting other stuff, and meanwhile there's this one stand constantly just running across the countryside. And he'll eventually catch up.
So our mid-episode title card is baby head, but in silhouette. We see that it will grow up big and strong, but not in full detail just yet. So the Passione boys have found themselves in a parking lot what is this building? It doesn't really matter, but what's it doing here?
I mean, it looks like the types of rest stops you find here in America, where it's just like, you get off the highway and here's a little building. Yeah. I don't know if maybe that's what it is, but
the debate on the table, because these boys are always arguing about the next step of action, is whether to steal a car, which car to steal. Wait a minute, if we steal a car, they will report it stolen. We aren't going to get that far. We're trying to lay low. And so Giorno has a bright idea. Yes, of course they'll track down a stolen car, but they'll never find us if there are 99 other cars who have been stolen, and bashed into tiny pieces that have all turned into a swarm of frogs.
Yes, he punches every car into dust except for one, turns them all into frogs, and sends them all across the country so that eventually there'll just be fucked up car parts everywhere. How are you going to deal with this, cops?
And one of the other boys says, quote, "I guess that makes sense." But he is not convinced. In no way is anyone convinced.
Yeah. I love that Giorno just has all of these, like, galaxy-brained ideas, and even at this point, everyone was just like, okay?
Oh, yeah, okay.
You're really trying to make this animal thing work, huh? I mean, props to you, but...
That fish barely swam to the island faster than you and Mista could without it. I do not get what that was for.
I mean, at least you're doing something that isn't a snake for once. Shit. You love snakes, Giorno.
He only makes animals that are mentioned in the Book of Exodus.
Yeah.
So that's where all of, our rank and file are. But of course, inside the turtle, their last bastion of defense, that is where Trish is hanging out with Bruno and his responsibility to her. And she has a quick question. This turtle ain't got plumbing. So what's the plan here, big guy?
Also, like, when Trish is complaining about this, she's just standing on top of a chair. I think that was to get a better look up outside the turtle, but it just is funny to see a woman go like, "Where do I pee?" while like standing on top of a chair.
Well, she's trying to assert dominance over the space.
And so Bruno's like, well, and he walks over to the one door that's in this tiny like pocket dimension room and opens it, and it's just an empty closet. And he just unzips a hole on the floor, and he's like, "Go at it."
Yeah, the purple zone will become, for now, the brown zone. That's fun. And he's like, considering the size we are, whatever goes in there can't be too bad for the turtle. It's probably, going to be fine.
Yeah, which is like, maybe don't say that. Maybe don't say, maybe the turtle would actually enjoy your pee and poop. I don't know. This might be a good arrangement for the turtle. Just say, this is weird, but here's a hole to poop in. I don't know.
So this bit of comic mischief, I guess, ends with Giorno's gigantic face looming over the gem sky above them.
Yeah. It's
very funny. I love it.
Yeah. Giorno's informing them that, hey, we've got a car. Bruno's like, please be careful. So Giorno's on like the opposite side of the parking lot, away from the rest of the gang, who's like trying to hotwire the car, basically.
Yeah.
And Giorno gets distracted because he hops over like this little concrete wall and notices, hey, there's a motorcycle here when there wasn't just a second ago. And he's like still carrying the turtle. And in that instant, Bruno loses track of Trish somehow. She's not in the closet. She's not anywhere else in the room. And he notices her arm just laying on the floor, kind of just poking around from a chair, and it's getting dragged away.
So he follows that hand around the furniture and sees her just for a fleeting moment as she gets pulled into the small little cabinet. And as he goes and checks out the cabinet, Bruno is also turned into voxels. Yep.
He gets deleted Tron style and appears, so is Trish as well. As she was getting pulled into the cabinet.
So now Giorno's looking down, is like, wait a minute. Wait, there used to be two people in here. What's going on?
Yeah. So he pulls out his stand and sends it into the turtle. We can see now, so we cut back to Malone, and we can see the train's actually up and running again. It's going. And he is just hanging out in the cabin that the woman was previously in before she got deleted.
And he's on the phone with his two remaining teammates. Like, the odds have really swung in the Bruno crew's favor, frankly.
Yeah.
So he is calling his two for backup. And in a Part 4 style transition, Gold Experience closes the closet door on them.
Yes, yeah.
There is some visual flair in this episode. At least there's something going on.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Golden Experience is searching the room in Mr. President. And Giorno immediately goes to shout at the rest of the gang on the other side of the parking lot, like, hey, there's a guy doing stuff, and then he can't talk anymore because a cube of flesh gets ripped out of his throat. Just where his vocal cord should be, it just pops out as a cube and falls out of his throat.
He lost his talking cube. He needs that.
Yeah.
So he can't really communicate that so easily. He's waving. He's trying to like get anybody's attention. And they're all, again, on the opposite side of this parking lot where Mista is failing to hotwire a car. Mm-hmm. And they do not understand his gestures. Narancia just kind of like waves like, yeah, hi, there you are.
The gang really needs a I'm getting fucked up by a stand right now, like, hand signal. They didn't have one before. They got to do it after this one when they meet a guy who can just pop your voice out. Yeah.
So Giorno is on his own, even though he's basically a stone's throw from everyone else.
Yeah.
And his first thought is like, okay, if I pop out this key, it will eject all of the living creatures from Mr. President, because that's how this works. We've established this at some point, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
And so because the stand is hiding his body parts, it also ejects the stand, Babyface.
Yeah.
Who we now see was disguised as that side cabinet all along.
Mm-hmm. Giorno also takes a couple extra hits while he's trying to do this, so he loses some cubes out of one of his feet, and his right eye just gets popped out. Like in a cube. He's just got a cube-shaped hole where his right eye should be now. But yes, he's able to draw Babyface out. So the stand can cube itself. It can like rearrange itself into other objects after it breaks itself down into cubes.
So even though it's really one thing, it has sort of the swarm problem at the same time. You can't punch it.
Yeah.
It's like punching Sandman. I'm going to talk about Spider-Man a lot today, I guess. I don't know.
And this whole time this fight is happening, Babyface is talking to Malone through like instant message basically on his laptop. And Giorno is, trying to punch Babyface, which currently it just rearranged itself into like a little rock. But every time he tries to punch the rock, it splits in half. It turns into a swarm of cubes and just sneaks around his fists. It shoots a cube laser.
Yeah, it's always moving and shifting. And yes, at one point shooting lasers, that doesn't come up again.
No.
And as Giorno tries to just do a guttural scream, he loses a second throat cube just in case.
There is an effect here, like a visual effect that I like. So because Babyface can rearrange himself into other objects, like there's a point where all of his cubes like rearrange in a way that he becomes part of the ground, and he like snakes up from the ground and then up the concrete wall. So it basically looks like a weird groundhog is burrowing through objects because the raised ground is coming up as like cubes.
That bit is great.
Yes, Giorno gets a second throat cube torn out, and he falls to the ground, and he just thinks to himself, wow, this guy's really fucking strong. And then like the life fades out of his eyes to make you think, oh no, Giorno's dying. And this is when we finally get to see Babyface in full, as he pops out of the wall.
He's confident in his victory, so he appears as his full actual body, which is the most... like, neck down, the most generic stand thing ever,
Yeah.
He's got sort of armorish plating all around him. He got the knee pads and the elbow pads and those spikes on the shoulders. The only unique thing is the specific design of the face, and specifically the mohawk made of spikes.
Yeah.
That are all careening off in alternating left-right directions.
Yeah. And he's got like a little earpiece that he speaks into that's part of his head to talk to Malone. But yeah, he hops back on the motorcycle, getting ready to drive away, and this is when Giorno starts approaching from behind, feeling better. He's got his eye back, and he can talk.
Because he can turn like rocks and junk into his missing parts.
Yeah, and like Giorno even points out, like, hey, your powers are kind of like the opposite of mine, where you turn living things into other types of objects. And so, yeah, he just realized, shit, there's a whole thing I could be doing with my stand that I have never done before. He rips off one of the like buttons off of his shirt, and it just morphs it into an eyeball that he slots back into his face.
And so Babyface is, of course, in constant conversation. And so Malone is reading his laptop and has no idea what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
Because just describing what's happening in this fight makes no sense whatsoever. And this is the second time that they've played this gag. He's like, what do you mean he's in a turtle? What the fuck are you talking about? This My stand is broken and dumb.
And so now that Giorno has fixed himself up, he's grabbed a bunch of random things that he's turned into new body parts for him. He punches at the motorcycle, which Babyface tries to dodge by, disassembling the motorcycle and himself into cubes to avoid the punch. But Giorno thought of that because as he whiffed and just hit a part of the motorcycle instead, he just made it so that a bunch of roots grow out of the motorcycle and through all the cubes so they kind of get stuck together.
So Babyface abandons the bike and drops Coco Jumbo, and Giorno lunges for the turtle in a repeat of the previous stand fights ending, I suppose. But since Babyface knew exactly where Giorno would go in order to get the turtle, he comes through the gasoline leak and punches through Gold Experience's arm to strike directly at Giorno himself. Which seems bad, except it's reversal. Haha, JoJo's trick. Here it comes again. I just don't like this fight. I don't like this fight at all.
The Babyface fight is the worst episode of Part 5 for me, and also it's just one of the worst stand fights all around, I think.
The way this goes is really haha, over and over again, and there's no tension, and everyone is so abstract that the most interesting thing, the thing I like most about this stand is the remote conversation aspect of it. And that's just cutaway gags and not part of it. That's not what action or character are really revolving around. It's just two pretty funny bits,
Yep. And also it sucks that this fight is not very good because it's the first Giorno-centric thing in a while. And then it's just this fight kind of sucks. But
and it sucks because it's Giorno-centric. I mean, what I mean is the way it's made Giorno-centric is coming up with this stand whose inherent abilities are such a mirror to Gold Experiences.
Yeah.
And so as soon as Giorno figures that out, there's no tension at all because he's way smarter than this guy who is literally born yesterday.
Yeah. So, okay, let's explain JoJo's trick. So, yes, Babyface punched Golden Experience's hand off, cubed it so it would pop off, and he just stops to, point at Giorno and go haha, got your hand. Where'd it go? It flew off somewhere. And Giorno's well, my hand is part of JoJo's trick, so you should probably defend yourself because it owns that my hand popped off, my stand's hand popped off its body. So now that Giorno's just transforming shit into body parts, he's like, what if I just transformed my severed body parts into shit that can fight you too? And so the hand got turned into a piranha. And the hand, okay. The hand that got punched off was a different object that he turned into a hand. The actual hand that popped off was a part that got assimilated into cubes into Babyface. And so his real stand hand is part of Babyface, which then turns into a piranha, which is inside Babyface and burrows through him and pops out his back, eating a lot of chunks of him on the way. And that's the cliffhanger.
The cliffhanger is JoJo's doing pretty good right now. See you next week.
Yep. He put a piranha in a guy.
Episodio 18, Head to Venice. So this one starts with our penultimate assassin, Ghiaccio. Ghiaccio is, of course, Italian for ice, not Italian ice. That's a separate thing.
Yeah.
Which, now that I mention it, I kind of want one. He is driving down the highway in his sporty little car, bright red, the headlights that pop out, that lift up or tuck away in the daytime. I hate cars that do that.
Yeah.
But he is talking on the phone with Risotto. Ghiaccio here, his English voice is the voice of Athrin Zala in the Gundam Seed HD remaster, because they redubbed it when they remastered it. His Japanese voice, you might recognize as Origami Cyclone in Tiger and Bunny.
Oh.
Or Bakugo in My Hero Academia.
That's where I heard it from, yeah.
And he also dubs for Freddie Highmore in his TV work.
Huh.
So this is the voice, this is the Japanese dub voice of Baby Norman Bates and The Good Doctor.
So yeah, we've got Ghiaccio on the phone with Risotto. Risotto is the one that we've seen before who's like goth jester.
The Hamburglar.
Yeah, he's the Hamburglar.
It's hard to remember that he's the Hamburglar because when we saw the Hamburglar, it was just the pants that are the only Hamburglar-y thing about him.
Yeah.
From the waist up, it's a very inaccurate descriptor.
Mm-hmm. Risotto is telling Ghiaccio, like, hey, I'm gonna leave some of this work to you. I'm doing some research right now. Because he's got a guy in this room with him working on a computer, like forcing this guy to work.
This dude is trembling. He's some sort of Chihuahua computer engineer. And there's a whole lot of blood on the floor.
Oh, yeah. There's some scissors on the floor, like surgical scissors. And this guy the whole time was just like, hey, so like betraying the boss is really bad. It means like you get super dead. I don't want to be super dead. And you don't see exactly what happens. You just see all of a sudden that this dude has 3 nails in his left hand.
Pinning him in place to his workstation. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just like, hey, the only thing you still need to be able to use a computer is at least one eye and your right hand. So I'm going to take one of your eyeballs out if you don't start working. And before he can even like do anything really, because he's just terrified, something else metallic gets jabbed into his eye just out of nowhere. And that takes us to the opening.
Actor notes for Risotto here. His English voice is Potemkin in Guilty Gear.
Okay.
And Ferdinand in Ascendance of a Bookworm.
Oh, okay.
While Risotto's Japanese voice dubbed for voiced Batman in Arkham Knight. And is Daniel Craig's James Bond in at least 2 of his movies, Skyfall and Spectre. I couldn't confirm if the other ones are also the same guy.
Yeah. But back out of the OP, where the piranhas turning back into Golden Experience's hand.
We replay that very last bit again with, I think, some new dialogue because Giorno like exclaims, "You guessed it! It's now a piranha." Okay, but who would have guessed that? Who would have guessed that though? Why would I have guessed that?
If I was going to guess anything, it's just that you turn something into a snake.
It'd be a snake, yes.
Yeah. And so Babyface is on the floor in pain.
When he collapses, his face falls into turtle poop. Very classy. Great. Love it. Malone gets a text message that says, quote, "I will kill fish bastard."
Yeah, that part's funny.
See, this is the part of Babyface I like. Malone, all alone, just like totally at arm's length from the fight he's nominally participating in, just says to himself, quote, "Remote tracking is great until Daddy's little death machine decides to go off the rails."
Daddy's little death machine.
I'm sure he has that on a little onesie.
Oh, God, yeah.
So Babyface picks himself up, and it's time, like, okay, we've had some superpowers, and now it's time to square off with, like, actual punching again. So in mid-strike, a huge, like, a full arm extension karate chop from high to low, Giorno steps back, thinks he's dodged it, except Babyface gets a growth spurt during that blow.
Yeah, he gets bigger very quickly.
And so his arms reach out just enough to like carve a gash down Giorno's chest.
You know, before the karate chop comes, he throws like 3 punches, and Giorno just goes, "That's like the third punch you thrown at me. I see right through you, bro." And then that's when he like, and it's presented as like a JoJo's trick style moment, but then he just gets karate chopped and fucked up.
Yeah. There's a bloody gash down to his crotch. So now we have basically an exact replay of the lead up to the fish moment, except we're punching something other than a fish.
Yeah.
How does this one even start again? Like, I'm so checked out of this fight. Like,
yeah,
I would be trying harder if the stand's like Genesis was anything else. But honestly, I do not care about Babyface.
Yep, same. So what happens is, Babyface has grown up. He's bigger. He's taller. He's more muscular. Giorno goes in for a punch, and Babyface basically dodges it by, disassembling himself into cubes and moving out of the way. This is when he's like, "Haha, I'm too fast for you. I can just dodge your blows. You're so predictable." And then Giorno does the JoJo's trick, which is, okay, he's doing the hand switcheroo again.
Yes. The hand switch continues to be a thing.
Yeah. So now the hand that he's punching with that has now been severed and was like absorbed into Babyface or whatever wasn't his real hand. It was a
replacement hand he made out of the motorcycle.
Yeah, and so now he's reverting the hand cubes that are in Babyface into a motorcycle, which means the motorcycle is just bursting out of his body.
And at this point, we've seen this play out so many times. Like, he's just toying with the guy. Oh my God, just kill him. Why won't you just kill him? And this is what kills him. In the time it took me to make that note, he is dead.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah, because he starts trying to just go like, well, there's a motorcycle inside of me. That's easy. I'll just turn to cubes and get the motorcycle out of me. But that's when all the gasoline in the motorcycle starts to leak out of every cube seam on his body. And then the spark plug on the motorcycle just decides to ignite. And that's what he just explodes and is on fire. And then Giorno punches him a bunch and he's dead. Mm-hmm, Yay! Mm-hmm.
So with the stand defeated, Bruno and Trish pop out of Coco Jumbo in the form of a table and a chair.
Yeah.
And then they reassemble into their actual bodies.
And that's the end of Babyface. Hooray.
A fight conclusion that was 2 or 3 minutes of the next episode?
Yep.
It's very strange that you have the fight climax immediately. But you know what? I'm not going to complain to get through this any faster.
Yeah, let's move on to the next stand fight, which is better.
But there's a lot before that next stand fight. So time has passed, and now at that roadside rest stop, Ghiaccio has arrived. He sees the exploded bike smoldering, and a whole lot of people complaining about their cars being stolen. They don't know their cars have also been blown apart into many bits, which have all turned into frogs.
You're never going to be able to file an insurance claim for that.
He also hates figures of speech, a lot.
Yes.
A lot.
Yeah, this is one of Ghiaccio's things. He frequently goes into tangents unrelated to any events happening around him to complain about how a figure of speech annoys him or to get pedantic about the way people pronounce words and stuff. What is the phrase that he's getting pissed off about?
In the dub, it's outside the box thinking.
Right.
He does not like that at all.
Yeah, because he is punching the glove box of his car a whole bunch and just screaming, "What the fuck does that mean? What if I like thinking in the box? What if I think better in the box? What if it's more comfortable there? That makes no sense. Fuck this."
In the subtitle translation, it's about leaving no stone unturned. I get, absolutely. You got to look under your stones, but also checking the leaves. Who does anything with leaves? They're just they blow away.
Yeah. And so Ghiaccio's on the phone with Malone, just saying "Hey, what the fuck, Malone? You fucked up. These guys just left. I think your stand got exploded or something." And Malone, in the train, which has now actually finally reached a train stop.
They're in Rome now.
Yeah, they're in Rome. Malone is out of the train just saying, like, hey, I still got Bruno's blood. I can just make another baby.
He's checking out new moms specifically by peeping women's asses?
Yep. It's gross.
Yeah, it's very gross.
Thankfully, we're not going to get any more of this because as he's on the phone, a snake slithers by. A motherfucking snake.
Why is Giorno's emblem like those ladybug brooches he has and not a fucking snake? The boy loves snakes so much.
Yes, there's one snake around Malone's foot, and he's just like, why the fuck is there a snake here? And then a second snake appears, like it was riding on the top of the train, and it falls on top of Malone's shoulders, and it's like smoking, and it smells like burning, and he's just like, oh shit, this is made out of my dead stand, isn't it? And then the snake, which is apparently poisonous, just bites Malone on the tongue, and he dies.
He dies instantly from tongue venom. So yeah, the first time we've ever seen a stand leave a corpse, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Bruno's fly, it returns, from where it came, and that is how we delivered a deadly snake bite.
God damn.
How fast was this snake going?
It's a fast little guy. Did it turn into a faster animal?
To get from wherever this rest stop is to a train station in Rome, what's the distance?
I'm starting to think just yet another aspect of Giorno's power is that all the animals he makes can go at hyperspeed because, like, I don't know, like that fish that they rode to get to the island or to get to the coast had to have been going really fucking fast for it to be better than the boat.
So speaking of Giorno, he is driving the stolen car, and Fugo is holding the turtle, and is just, like I said, doing the math. There's only 2 assassins left, and Mista is in the back seat, eyes locked out the rear window, looking for anyone coming up on them.
Yeah.
Everybody else is inside the turtle.
Yep.
What if, okay, there's 2 assassins left. What if the boss needs someone assassinated?
Yeah.
Where is, the next person up in the hierarchy? Where's their capo wondering why there are 5 dead guys this week?
Yeah. So Ghiaccio is, still at this parking lot by the rest stop, and he's just like, well, Maloney's dead, and so he's real pissed off about that. Or he gets called by Risotto, who is still at this computer, saying that, like, hey, something has been reconstructed, and I'm going to send it to you now, but we don't know what it is yet.
Meanwhile, inside Mr. President, Bruno is getting another email because the turtle has Wi-Fi.
Yay! This is the best turtle.
And so it's a very simple message that seems like the most perfect encryption method possible.
Yeah.
Like, this is a really clever use of their specific abilities. The boss just says, hey, have Moody Blues go stand on a chair and rewind 14 hours.
Yeah, this part's pretty cool.
It's so good.
So yeah, he rewinds back to that time, and his stand turns into the guy that they met quite a few episodes ago now to hand off Trish to them, Pericolo.
Little baby Pericolo, the oldest, smallest man.
Yep.
So yeah, 14 hours ago, he was here inside Mr. President. It seems a lot of guys have been inside Mr. President. Sometimes you get 6 guys in Mr. President at once.
Wow, Mr. President, damn.
And you'd think someone, that age wouldn't be able to take it, but boy, there's room to move.
Yep. It's very, it's the most talented president ever.
So there is another very, like, Diamond is Unbreakable reminiscent visual flair here. So who's watching it? It's Trish, it's Giorno, it's Bruno, and like, they are in the midground seeing this happen, and then also superimposed over themselves their shocked reactions.
Yep. And so Pericolo, was in this turtle 14 hours ago, speaking to nothing, giving instructions so they can see it later. This is apparently the boss's final mission, the way he phrased it. They have to go to this sculpture to retrieve a floppy disk that has been hidden in it, which contains the location of the drop point for Trish.
Yes. And this is the beginning of what I really hate about the coming fight. So this floppy disk is inside, like, the Lion of Venice is the name of this statue, right?
Yeah.
It's a very famous landmark, this bronze lion with wings up on a pillar, and they're told to find it at Santa Lucia Station. The Lion of Venice is not at Santa Lucia Station. It is at Piazza San Marco, the huge famous piazza in Venice, about half an hour walk away. In fact, we've seen it previously. That piazza is where Rohan's popcorn game was played.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
The Italy Pavilion at Epcot is very, very based on that piazza, including having the Lion of Venice on a post in its place, right next to a building based on the Doge's Palace, whereas the real one is right next to the real Doge's Palace. It is not a fancy gift shop where you get Italian perfumes. I mean, it might be. There's a lot of tourism in Venice. I don't know.
And so Pericolo sets the photo of the statue on fire to destroy the evidence, and he's saying, you really got to get the Trish to the boss. I've already been discovered, so we have to leave no trace evidence behind of this shit. So this is when he pulls out a gun, and he puts it to his temple and says, hey, I've had a very fulfilling life. My duty is over. I am willing to lay down my life for the boss. Yeah, this is when he was in the turtle 14 hours ago and he killed himself. And also the force of shooting himself in the head with the gun launches him out of the turtle.
What is seen, what is depicted exactly is, him with the gun to his temple, delivering that final speech, and then the camera cuts behind him, not showing him, just looking down at, all our Passione crew seeing this until you hear the gunshot and the spray of gore cuts across the screen in front of your view.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. It's fucked
up. Yeah. There should have been instructions on that note to hey, stop at this point. Stop.
You're going to want to pause. You're going to get the implication. You're going to want to pause.
Yeah.
So then we cut to the boss. It's the first time we see, quote unquote, see the boss. He's hanging out in deep, dark shadows, buried under this very flowing, voluminous bathrobe.
Yeah.
And he's really hoping that everybody thinks his whole escape room design is really cool.
Yeah.
His apartment looks neat. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, he's just hoping that his daughter can be delivered to him safely. And this is when we transition to seeing, everybody in the car driving to the location.
There was a mid-episode title card. This time it's just a roadmap showing various points of interest along the journey.
And afterwards, this is when we get the narrator introducing Venice.
We're familiar.
Yeah. Introducing the long bridge that connects to it.
Yeah, from the mainland to, the famous parts, the City of Canal parts of Venice.
Yeah.
And so they are driving down this bridge. It's Giorno is still at the wheel. Mista is still in the back, keeping watch. And the windows keep fogging up. And they skid out.
When they skid out, Giorno gets control back on the car pretty quickly, but in doing so, it tossed Mista from one side of the back seat to the other. And he had his hand up on the window on the other side before he got thrown across the car.
Mista has to ask if Giorno even has his license. What the hell, man? And Giorno replies, "No, I'm 15."
Yeah, there's no way. I don't even have a permit, maybe.
It's okay. Driving without a license is one of the cool crimes. It's way better than even murder. It's
Oh, yeah.
We're so far from selling drugs to kids right now. You don't even got to sweat. By the way, the station they're going to is a rail station. Just feel like I should mention that. They're driving to a rail station that is inaccessible by car.
Okay. So Mista, thrown across the other side of the car, looks back at the window that he was previously looking through and notices that there's something stuck to it. He's like, what the hell is that? And he notices that, like, hey, these windows are really fogging up. It's getting pretty cold in here. And that thing stuck to the window on the other side is his pinky finger.
Yeah,
oh,
it is.
Man. His pinky, when he had his hand up to the window, his pinky got frozen to the car, and the force of him being tossed across the other side of the car was enough to completely tear his pinky off of his hand. Ugh.
So Giorno is not paying too much attention to that. Instead, he's thinking back to all the fun car facts he knows and all the like driving pro tips that he's aware of. I mean, remember, he did do a number of taxi scams before this whole story started. The way you defog a window is by opening the window and equalizing the interior and exterior temperatures, obviously. But what that does, unfortunately, is let in Arctic cold blasts.
Yeah, and like as he opens this, you hear Ghiaccio very happy that the window has been rolled down because now he's cooled their innards to 1 degree Celsius or something like that. Mista's face is starting to get frozen to the side of the window that he's pressed up against, and a photo also flies in through the open window and like gets frozen and attached to Giorno's face here, and it's the reconstructed photo of the drop point for this floppy disk that Pericolo burned. That's what they were analyzing earlier. They actually got the scraps and reassembled it.
Yeah, Risotto's computer boy was reconstituting this photo from the burned ashes in order to predict their destination. This is a very like 90s idea of what computers could do. This is a very hack the planet story beat.
This is also like these two episodes back to back are like the first time ever really that there's like computers in JoJo.
Yeah.
Like the computers and the internet just don't really like matter or exist much in JoJo for the most part, which I think is interesting.
You mentioned it when we were talking about Thus Spoke Rohan, right? How weird it is to see that editor just like bring out her iPad and look at her Google Maps app. But when we first see that sort of technology in JoJo's proper, it's so much less mundane, right? You aren't just on AOL Messenger. You are controlling the brain of your autonomous baby stand.
So yeah, Misa's getting super frozen. Like half of his face is frozen over with ice now, like attached to this window. While
Ghiaccio is like pounding down the roof, leaving dents, trying to bust in.
And he's trying to figure out where Trish is because it's like, ooh, I bet they're in the turtle. Is the turtle here with you? Where's the turtle at? And he quickly deduces it like, hey, the turtle ain't here. They're hiding somewhere else, not in this car, which means I can go ape shit on you guys in the car.
No holds barred, take no prisoners. Let's just fuck you up. So yeah, he's right. It is the two of them on this mission for the disc. No backup, no one else around. And yeah, no Trish to worry about. So Mista manages to thaw enough to actually bleed from his severed pinky.
Yeah.
Which tells him he's capable of shooting. So he shoots a few bullets up with some Sex Pistols upon them through the roof. But they find that Ghiaccio has made himself an ice cocoon.
Yeah.
He's encased himself in ice like 2 feet thick and fused to the roof.
Yeah.
Which is impenetrable bulletproof armor.
Yeah, like the bullets can only burrow in like an inch or so before they come to a complete stop. Part 5 has had very little CG animation in it, but we get it here briefly when we're seeing like outside seeing like frozen Ghiaccio fuse to the top of the car as it's just speeding across this bridge, which thankfully it's very late at night and there's no traffic on this bridge. They're the only car on it.
Well, of course not. It's supposed to be a train bridge. Nobody knows you can drive on it.
Yeah.
So it's so cold that Sex Pistols 2 and 3 get encased, those burger thieves. Ooh, this is karma. And of course, the bullet holes in the roof that brought them there are allowing more and more cold inside the cabin of the car.
Yeah. Giorno estimates they're currently at negative 20 Celsius.
And Mista is too frozen to reload.
Yeah, like all the blood that was coming out of his severed pinky has frozen over now. So it's just this solid, disgusting pillar of blood sticking out of his hand.
In roughly the shape of a pinky. Yeah. It's real bad. Giorno is doing some, I would say, meteorologically suspect wind chill calculations.
Yeah. He's 15, like...
But the important part is it's too cold for anything to live, and there are ice crystals that have frozen the brake pedal from being moved.
Yeah, so his stand is essentially useless right now. He can't transform anything to anything living. He
can't stop, he can't steer, he can't gold experience. He's pretty fucked right now.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, even Giorno's starting to completely ice over. Half of his face is encased in ice now. And this is when Ghiaccio stands up to bitch about how people pronounce Paris as Paris.
But fancy people at least say Paris all over the world. However, Venezia is called Venice all over the world, even though that's English and not Italian. Why? It's an Italian place. Use the Italian name. It's Venezia. Shakespeare can suck my ass. Fuck off, Merchant of Venezia. Thank you very much.
And like when Ghiaccio gets pissed off about stuff like this, he has to punch something. So he's just like in his ice cocoon, just punching the ice wall furiously while screaming about this.
It's totally unprompted. It has nothing to do with anything. I guess he just sees the lights in the distance that inspires him, something that really grinds his gears. But
yeah,
I kind of like Pesci. Ghiaccio is an inversion of expectations, right? The guy named Ice with ice powers, with that look. We haven't really talked about his look. We should.
Yeah.
You would expect him to be the cool one, to be like cold in mood. But no, he just flies off the handle to scream about whatever quirk of language is bothering him that day. He's very shouty all the time.
So yeah, Giaccio's whole look, like his actual outfit is pretty reserved compared to a lot of the other guys.
That'll change.
Yeah, that'll change pretty soon. But he's kind of wearing just a blue suit, I guess. It's kind of got like a Mandarin collar, sort of.
It reminds me of, oh no, I guess I'm just misremembering it, because I thought these were functional buttons along his shoulder that would remind me of like a dentist jacket that like...
Yeah.
Goes all the way around and fastens asymmetrically like that, but I think those are just decorative buttons, and it actually fastens closer to his center line.
Yeah. So yeah, his suit is pretty standard, extremely tight, just form-fitting, like it's going up into his chest cavity a bit. It's so tight.
Sleeves that go all the way down and become hand covers that loop around his middle fingers.
Yeah, and it's got a bit of like a turtleneck collar thing going on. He's got these bright red glasses on, and the craziest part of his design is his hair, which is made out of S's, kind of.
He looks like the top of like a gelato at the gelato bar before business opens, right? It hasn't been marred by any of the scooping. Just lots of swirls that seem like really pasted down onto his head.
Yeah.
And like bright magenta fashion glasses.
Mm-hmm. Mista and Giorno are trying to figure out how to do anything to defend themselves, and the only thing Golden Experience can do is like pick stuff up. It can't really use its stand power. It can just get closer to Mista than Giorno can. So it grabs a bunch of bullets that Mista dropped and loads them into Mista's gun for him. And he's also saying like, hey Mista, I need like some warmth to actually do anything with my abilities. And so when Mista fires off a couple more rounds into this like basically impenetrable ice armor.
The bullets are hot enough to support life, so we get a combo attack. They turn into expanding, searching vines and roots that pop out of their little like paths that they're embedded on in the ice, which peel Ghiaccio's cocoon from the roof, and he spills out onto the road behind them. Hooray! Victory!
Yay. It's a cool combo attack. I like that one.
It is. Yeah, I like the teamwork. Teamwork's good.
And so, they're speeding off, leaving Ghiaccio behind. Seemingly, they have gotten away from him. But we haven't really seen the extent of his stand ability yet, because before he had just frozen ice around himself. Now he pulls out his actual stand, which is an ice skating suit.
Yeah. The stand is called White Album, named for the colloquial name of the Beatles' self-titled album. Self-titled albums seem to be named after colors mostly, or maybe I'm just thinking of the Beatles and Weezer, together at last where they belong.
There's got to be a Weezer stand.
I mean, the Black Album was actually called the Black Album. Like, come on. If you want to name your album after color, put it in the name. But yes, this is new, right? We've never seen a stand that is a bodysuit.
Yeah, this is new.
Like, it's a speed skating outfit as imagined by Iraqi, honestly. He's got, it's all white. It's more armory than, the full body spandex that you see at, actual speed skating. Long ice skating blades built in, pops of color on the elbows, shoulders, hips, and knee pads, and little green vents in the shape of like, Tic Tacs, like rounded rectangles that run up the limbs and chest.
And let's not forget that his helmet has cat ears?
His helmet has cat ears, yes.
Yeah.
And when he is like in a crouch to build up speed as we enter the road race portion of the fight, he's got a little tailbone built in that juts out very aerodynamically, I guess.
Yeah. And also his helmet, it completely covers his face. It's got like this green visor portion that he looks out of, but the center, like the forehead, has this big like pink spiral on it.
So he starts laying down a sheet of ice upon which to skate and catch up, and Mista's like, yeah, I got something for this. So he fires more shots, and Sex Pistols catch the bullets. They don't like redirect them into this guy's face or anything. They use them as like tripping hazards.
Yeah.
Wedging them along the ice skates so he loses his glide, loses his skating line, and flips off, flopping around like Team Rocket blasting off into space behind.
Yeah. Previously, he did try to just straight up shoot Ghiaccio in the face, but his suit here is the same as like the ice he was encased with earlier. It's super super strong like armor. Now that Ghiaccio's eating shit, they're just like, okay, we're just going to drive literally as fast as humanly possible and just get the fuck out of here before he can catch us again.
Quote, we lost the freaky snowman.
Yes. Ghiaccio's still holding on because he's used his ice powers to freeze the vapor coming out of the exhaust of the car. So he's just holding on by a long icicle coming out of the car.
Much like Giorno's nephew, 80 years ago, 60 years ago, 60 years ago.
Yeah. He's like climbing up this trail of ice from the muffler, and he gets close enough that he's able to pop the trunk open so that Mista can't see him. And so Mista's just like dumping rounds just randomly into the trunk, hoping he hits the dude.
But it doesn't work. He climbs through the trunk into the back seat and tries to shatter Mista's arm off by freezing it solid.
Yeah. Golden Experience comes into the back to try and do a punch rush, and it
just punching alone, not even doing life stuff. But its punching is insufficient, as it always is.
Yeah, it barely puts a crack into Ghiaccio's like helmet, and that's it. Misa's telling Giorno just like, hey, just pull your stand back. He's going to completely freeze you over. And Giorno goes with a curious plan. Hey, what if we made it to Venice. We're across this bridge, basically. What if I ramp the car off into the water below. To that, I think that seems like a bad idea with a guy with ice powers, but you do you.
This is also a bad idea because in reality, if you're driving on the car bridge to Venice and you hop off the guardrail on that side, you don't land in the water. You land in the rail bridge, which is maybe a good thing because then you can drive along the rail bridge into the train station where you are trying to go.
Right, yeah. But yeah, Giorno ramping it is the cliffhanger there, which leads us to the final episode, White Album, episode 19.
So yes, the car lands in the canal, and Gold Experience punches Ghiaccio out of the car, but its fists freeze to the point that Giorno's hands snap off.
Yeah. Oops. And Misa's like, oh, fuck, your hands fell off. And Giorno's just saying, hey, I'm going to do an Abbacchio now and say, you got to leave me behind for the sake of the mission. You go over to that statue right now and seal the deal.
He's become very Abbacchio or very Bruno-like in this moment. And so Mista listens, basically.
Yeah, but he does vow, like, hey, I'm going to go get that, and then I'm also going to save you afterwards. Like,
yeah, he defines the mission's victory parameters as defeating Ghiaccio as well as retrieving the disc.
Yeah.
So now the question is raised. Was Giorno smart to use the canal as like a big latent heat reservoir? Or was he very, very stupid because there's so much water to make ice with?
Turns out there's a lot of water to make ice with.
At this point, no one is sure.
Yeah.
So the OP plays, and
oh wait, right before the OP, some really horrible body horror happens.
Yeah? Which bit is this?
This is the bit where, Misa smashes out the front window to climb out of the car, and this is where Ghiaccio reappears, punches the water to make a bunch of ice grow out of it, and it grows all the way onto the car hood just enough to reach underneath where Misa's hand is resting. And Misa goes, oh shit, and he pulls his hand back really quick, and it's too late, and all of the skin on his palms and the bottoms of his fingers get torn off.
Yeah, that does happen. That sure does.
It's bad.
OP time.
Yeah.
So as we come back, yes, Mista is standing on this icy car in this rapidly icing canal trying to get to dry land and the disc inside this lion statue. So he shouts, Giorno, you gotta turn the car into a plant.
Yeah. You got it, buddy. So yeah, Golden Experience punches the steering wheel and it starts to grow and turn into vines, but it's just too cold out here. The only thing that is surviving is tundra grass. The vine shrivels and dies in the cold before it gets the chance to grow long enough to reach land, and Mista's like, more tundra grass, please. I want this tundra grass so bad. Yeah. So he's just tearing up all this grass off the hood of the car, and the ice is approaching him, and Misa's still feeling good. Like, thanks, Giorno. All of this grass, there is enough of it, and it froze over hard enough that I was able to make a snowboard.
What a magnificent asshole. I love this move. It's so dumb. It's so dumb and so good.
And so, yeah, there's a bunch of long ice patches across the water now that lead closer towards land, and so he just hops on the snowboard and just rides this ice.
So yeah, he's skating down, he's making progress, he's pulling away, and so Ghiaccio's like, well, fuck that, you can't snowboard without my snow, and he turns off all the cold.
Yeah.
Which dumps Mista into the drink, but also frees Giorno.
Yeah. And so Ghiaccio, while everything is, unfrozen, he's swimming very quickly. He's just a really good swimmer. And Mista's getting really close to land, but he stands his ground. He's going to try and shoot Ghiaccio. But before he can, Ghiaccio just punches the water. A sheet of ice, extends forward very quickly and pins Mista to this brick wall he's against. And we got another combo attack coming up.
Yeah, so on Giorno's advice, with no idea why he's doing this, Mista starts shooting a bunch of the floating clumps of grass in the water.
Yeah, because all these clumps of grass were made out of the car. As Mista shoots them, Giorno reverts the grass into like car parts and screws and nuts and bolts and stuff. And this gives Mista an opportunity to just like trick shot one of the car parts, one of the screws, and shoot it into the target on Ghiaccio's head, which is the big pink swirl on his forehead. And he shoots it rapidly multiple times to like dig it into this dude's forehead.
Fucking bullseye. Ping, 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 ping. Driving it all the way into his skull, which stuns him.
Yeah, like, even both of them know immediately, like, hey, this didn't kill him. He's just stunned from this. And, like, Mista briefly gets on land, like, ooh, he could go to that. He's so close to the statue. He could just get the disc right now. But Mista thinks, no, I gotta kill this motherfucker while I have the chance.
Yeah, he's taking the Giorno route instead of the Abacchio route in this, like, Telltale Games presents Golden Wind situation.
Yeah. He dives underwater to see what Ghiaccio's doing. And yeah, Ghiaccio's just stunned, like sinking to the bottom here. He's like, okay, if this dude is in, this armor, there's got to be a way for him to breathe. He sends two of the Sex Pistols out to get really close and like flank him to see if they can find a breathing hole.
And they do. There is an air intake currently leaking bubbles in the back of his neck. That's the breathing hole for White Album.
Yeah. So the idea is he's going to fire some shots into that neck hole, but Ghiaccio starts to swim upwards, and like the little tail, like flared tail bit on the back of his helmet, when he's looking upwards, completely covers up the breathing hole.
So Mista's like, I know how to get you to look down, revealing your neck spot. I'm going to shoot some fish.
Yeah.
And you're going to be so curious about why the hell I would shoot fish. You look at the fish, and then there's a clear path into your vent.
Yeah. So yeah, he fires off a shot. Sex Pistols, kick the bullet around to hit him in the breathing port. And it looks like he's hit his mark until Ghiaccio reveals another part of what he can do with his stand, which is just he is frozen vapor around him into these minuscule little ice shards floating around him, which he is using to block bullets and also ricochet bullets that are shot at him back at Mista.
He's been monologuing a little bit about how the ability of White Album is so powerful, so overwhelming, because it is the very nature of stasis itself, right? Its temperature goes down. That means a stop to molecular motion. He can just stop the whole dang world if he wants. That's what makes him so strong philosophically. And so he has super cooled the air around him to the point where the air itself has become solid. He's found the freezing temperature of air and made his armor out of that.
Yeah.
And this specific ability, this shield he puts up with this method, he calls Gently Weeps.
Yeah, the Beatles song, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. But yes, with this ability that he can do, there's like this ringing, humming sound that's happening. They're like, what the fuck is that sound? And it's just the sound of Misa's bullet endlessly ricocheting until Ghiaccio just kind of like chooses to ricochet it back at Mista, and he gets like shot in the gut. And this gives Ghiaccio some time to get ahead of Mista and start searching around the statue. He's like searching through trash and the bushes and shit.
Yeah, because he just has a picture. He doesn't have the instructions. So he's trying to figure out what in this picture is significant. And after an amount of searching, he's like, it's probably this really famous sculpture that dates from the year 300 BC. I don't know how you get a computer disk in that, but they did. The boss is so talented.
They did it. So he just karate chops the statue into fucking oblivion. Thanks for that.
That's what it gets for being in the wrong neighborhood. Very, very literally the wrong part of the city. It's not where it is.
And yeah, this like candy red chunky floppy disk pops out of it, and he's got a hold of it. And this is where, like, Giorno is slowly recovering. You can see that he just now got on top of the car. He's made a new hand for himself.
What a trick. What a trick he learned.
Yeah, it's incredibly useful.
And so he makes an open vow that he and Mista's determinazione will light the way through this darkness.
And that's when we get our mid-episode title card, which is White Album. Ghiaccio is picking up the floppy disk. Mista's also up on land, but he's struggling to continue to fight since he's got a bullet in the gut. And this is when Giorno has a monologue about resolve.
While Mista's being goaded by Ghiaccio shouting, bring it, chuckle schmuck.
Yes, chuckle schmuck.
So close.
And as they're both about to fight, Giorno decides, hey, what worked before was distracting this dude by doing some fucked up weird shit like shoot fish dead. So I'm going to smash my arm into oblivion and squirt blood into the sky.
Showering the world in his blood.
Which makes both Mista and Ghiaccio go like, what the fuck are you doing?
And of course, covering the battlefield in your own blood is the traditional trigger ceremony for flashbacks.
Yes. Compared to the rest of the gang, Misa's flashback earlier in the show was a lot shorter.
It was only half the story.
Yeah.
So we pick up where we left off. Mista had just shot a bunch of people dead who were trying to shoot him and also assault a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And so now Mista is getting sentenced to 15 to 30 years for the shooting of all those men, because the court did not believe his claims of self-defense.
Yeah.
And he winds up in a very stark jail cell. Flies are buzzing around his tray of slop. But not long after a very short amount of time inside, he gets sprung by Bruno. And Bruno takes him out to Buca di Beppo to talk about life.
And yeah, Bruno learned about Mista just by seeing him in the news and go like, hey, I thought you were innocent. So let's go to Olive Garden.
You're good at guns. Yes, I am in the mafia. Good guess. You want to do guns with me?
Basically, Mista is just immediately like, yeah, it sounds dope.
Like, yeah.
I love this food.
Mista agrees to join before he's even asked to, actually. It's like Bruno doesn't get the question out. The only thing he manages to do is order 6 bruschettas. Bruschetta for everyone.
Yeah. The easiest recruit out of the whole gang.
And the last. He's the last. I guess Giorno's the last, but up until then, because everybody just waddles in single file. They all want their bruschetta.
Yeah. Just seeing Italian food in the show always makes me want Italian.
Did they make him drink pee too?
Yeah, right? Is
that just part of it?
Who came up with the pee drinking haze initiation for this gang?
It's pouring rain. Bruno Bucciarati winds up on the doorstep of disgraced cop Leone Abbacchio, and he says, "Yes, I will join. I will join your organization on one condition: everyone who comes after me has to drink my pee."
I wanted to do it when I was a cop, but none of the cops wanted to drink it.
And Bruno puts away his umbrella while the rain pours down over his face and says, "Abbacchio, I will drink your pee right now." That's how bad I believe in our crew.
It's resolve. It's determinazione. You got to be able to drink pee to be in this gang.
Abbacchio is going to have some sort of kidney condition, but they're going to catch it instantly. Before he has any symptoms that would bring him to a doctor's office even.
Yeah, and then you can just have someone quickly punch his kidneys out, and Giorno will make new ones for him out of, some bruschetta or something. There you go. This does bring up the question, so if Giorno...
Yeah, which question? How many questions does it bring up?
Okay, so all these new body parts Giorno is making, like if he fixes up other party members that lose body parts or whatever, those are all things that have been transformed with the power of golden experience. If Giorno dies, do all those body parts revert back into what they used to be, or are they just permanently that?
At a certain point, you got to start thinking in Ship of Theseus terms, right?
Yeah,
because if I lost a pinky and he made a new pinky for me out of a windshield wiper, let's say.
Yeah.
in a certain amount of time, that's all new skin cells, and eventually all the way to like the bone is all brand new tissue that didn't used to be those specific cells. A windshield wiper doesn't work on those rules.
Right. Yeah, like in the short term, if you got an arm made for you and then Giorno bit it, would your arm just turn back into a windshield wiper and just fall off? I don't know.
I think short term, certainly, and it'd hurt like hell, and you could well die.
Yeah.
But if we're talking like Giorno lives, 40 years, and like you don't even remember that time you lost your arm and it got replaced with a windshield wiper. It happens so many times, frankly.
Yeah. So back out of the flashback, Mista is inspired by Giorno smashing his arm into oblivion. And he goes, I can see the path through the darkness. Thank you for being my light, Giorno. Giorno.
And I thought this was literal somehow. I thought like, because now all these ice crystals hanging around in the air that like represent Gently Weeps are tinged with blood. And I thought like, oh, Mista like literally charted a path like through the angles. No, he's speaking entirely figuratively, because what he does is bad and sucks shit, actually.
So he fires a whole bunch of bullets off at a lamp post that is next to Ghiaccio, bouncing them off of this lamp post as it gets bent more and more with each bullet that hits it. And Sex Pistols, all six of them, are kicking all the bullets like around the ice crystals or off the ice crystals to hit the port in the back.
But the port is closed because he doesn't need a port anymore. Because, see, when you freeze air solid, it condenses down to such a tiny little spot. He doesn't need new air. He can just keep releasing the solidified old air to replenish his air.
Yeah.
So it's totally sealed. Also, while he's explaining this, the disc just disappears. Like it gets Star Trek transported somewhere else. I don't understand that. They do not explain it.
No, yeah, he just coats it in a layer of ice. And I was just like...
Okay, but it disappears, though.
It disappears, and I don't...
Where
I don't know
physically is it, though?
I don't know. And so, yeah, all the Sex Pistols are worried because, oh shit, the bullets we ricocheted and we thought, hit this dude in the port. Nope, it's still getting bounced around like before. And all 6 bullets hit Mista. And as Mista is falling to the ground, like bleeding, in slow-mo, he thinks, thanks, Giorno. Otherwise, I would not just now have had the resolve to shoot myself with my own gun.
Yeah. Thanks for showing me, quote, the enlightened path that led me to shoot myself with my own bullets. What are you talking about?
Mista...
He's shot himself so many times he has lead poisoning, and it's rotting his brain.
Yeah, like I pointed out before, one of Mista's very frequent techniques is to just shoot himself a lot until he wins. And so, yeah, he does. But
it should do something, right?
Yeah,
it should have a positive impact, if even marginal. And so far, it hasn't. And so he just keeps doing it. Yeah. So he got shot so much that blood spurted out of him and coated the visor on Ghiaccio's helmet, which then causes the blood to congeal and freeze over, and so he can't see anything. He's temporarily blinded, and so Mista fires off several rounds at Ghiaccio while he's blinded. He can't reflect the bullets yet, and so he gets pushed backwards at the lamppost he was shooting earlier, which, when it was shot a bunch, bent it and caused a big, sharp, jagged piece to jut out of the lamppost. Yes. And so he's inching back to the point where he's just barely piercing with this iron spike his neck, through his probic vent.
Yeah.
And so Mista keeps up the pressure. Every time he empties his revolver, there's more bullets going in. This dude is flush with bullets, and they are all being fired relentlessly, while the Sex Pistols scream at him, dude, you gotta stop. You're gonna fucking die. Every shot, like, sure, moves him a millimeter, but it also hits you with a fucking bullet. You have to stop. Hey, you guys, you could help.
Yeah.
You could intercept these bullets and just like kick them harmlessly out of the way. That's your job.
Like, Sex Pistols are so stupefied by this that they don't do anything. It's just Mista with a normal gun shooting this dude, and like the animation for this part is rad, and just like
yes,
the stumbling and flailing of Mista constantly firing off shots and trying to stay standing to fire more shots while bullets are just constantly he's just getting riddled with every single bullet he shoots.
The way like the animation really communicates that a body is a collection of parts, right?
Yes.
Parts connected by joints and ligaments. And so you see the strength like waning from him. He's clearly being held up only by determination. And every time a bullet hits him, it affects one of, his chunks that then pulls and twists, and it's really good. It's really solid and tangible. It's great.
Yeah, it kicks ass. And eventually, like, Mista is on one knee on the ground, about to fall down. He is Swiss cheese now. There are so many bullet holes in this dude. And the Sex Pistols are like, you gotta stop. We're gonna die. If you pass out, we die. And right then is when Ghiaccio has been pushed back far enough that he appears to possibly die. Like, he slumps over.
I mean, there's a big jet of blood coming out of his neck, spraying into the river.
Yeah.
But he's not owned. He insists he is not owned.
The blood has a lot of utility in this fight. Because all that blood that just spurted out of his neck, Ghiaccio used his ability to freeze the blood and give him a supporting structure attached from his head to the lamppost so that he can't be pushed back any further onto the spike.
And also, there's one bullet still bouncing around in his gently weep shield cloud.
Yeah, and it strikes Mista right in the head, like right in the brain. But the instant the bullet pierces his skull, it just goes boip, and it's gone. Because
there's just like a little flesh lump. It looks like, he bonked himself, and it's just a little bit of swelling. Because Giorno has arrived, and Gold Experience just kicks Ghiaccio into the spike until he dies.
Yeah, this is the first time we've ever got, rather than a punch rush, we've got a kick rush. The very rare kick rush.
I love that this fight has been at something of a stalemate for so long, of bullets going back and forth. And the way we solve this impasse is just kick him. Just kick the guy with your feet.
Yeah. He gets kicked so that the spike goes clean all the way through his neck.
It's popping, protruding out from his larynx. He's super dead.
Yeah. And Giorno thanks, Mista, like, hey, man, fucking determination, resolve, fuck yeah. And
Mista's little monologue to himself, watching watching Giorno's victory, about how, like, everything he says comes true.
Yeah.
I don't know where this kid gets his ideas, but he always like brings them into being, and he considers him a sort of super secret special capo, even above Bucciarati.
Yeah.
He's lost a lot of blood. I can't account for some of these ideas.
He was already kind of dumb to begin with, so now he's mega dumb. Giorno kneels in front of Mista, is like, okay, 1, that dude's dead. 2, I got the disc.
But then Mista says, quote, yeah, that's great, but could you please heal me? I'm dying.
Yeah. And this is when Giorno's just like, okay, I'm technically not healing you. I'm making new body parts for you. So I'm going to touch every one of these bullets that's in your body. I'm just going to turn it into new flesh for you. And this is going to fucking hurt.
All of the bullets become the first new healed flesh, but like the holes that the bullets pass through to get to that point, you're just going to have to heal the old-fashioned way by sleeping, I guess. That's how it works in JoJo's.
Yep.
So yeah, he's just got big painful holes all over his body, and Giorno has, in order to save his life, has to poke into all the holes.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Narancia is coming by in like a tiny fishing boat, right? Like a little rowboat with an offboard motor. Mm-hmm. And he's scouting the area with Lil Bomber's CO2 scope, which I think is a fun and smart use of a stand.
Yeah.
While everybody else is safe in the turtle zone. And as he's going by, the suggestion is that he's found Giorno giving Mista the world's worst hand job.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, the perspective from the boat is that Mista's on this bench, Giorno is in front of him, kind of kneeling down, and the animation is him going up and down, and
all sorts of stuff about like, hey, calm down, be gentle, that hurts.
And it's either the worst hand job or the worst blow job or both.
I mean, Giorno is speaking with like an unimpeded vocal quality.
He made himself a second mouth.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
there you go.
Freaking you is all I need, I guess.
Yep.
I guess last week I should have searched Mista getting yanked off instead of Bruno getting yanked off.
Yeah.
While we're doing all these part 3 callbacks, where's the rim shot? That's what this episode needs.
Yeah, we need the rim shot here. So yeah, Bruno's just like, oh, did you find them? And Narancia just goes like, I don't know. I'm a child. What's happening? I don't know. And he just drives past them on the boat.
So yet again, there's a post-credit scene. I guess it's not as rare as I thought. Now that we're in Golden Wind land,
mm-hmm.
And it's the boss. The boss is back. He is in Risotto's computer lab, checking out all of the bloodstains.
Yeah,
and figures like, oh, Risotto figured out they're going to Venice. He's gone off to Venice. I'm sure Bruno and his crew are going to kill him, and that's that. The end.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck? Fuck this. This sucks. From Bruno's perspective, this sucks. They were explicitly promised by Pericolo that this job they just have to watch the girl for a week or two, because that's the maximum amount of time it would take the boss to find whoever is responsible and kill them.
Yeah.
They're doing all the killing themselves. This job sucks.
And as you see the boss like looking out the window to the rising sun, like you're only seeing like a shot of his feet, and you see that his whole like robe just falls to the floor, and then it hard cuts to where he should be, and he's just gone. He has just vanished.
There are 8 stands we've seen that could have done this one way or another. I'm not impressed.
Yeah, gotta step it up. And yeah, that's the end of today's 3 episodes.
That's it. That is it. And it's hard at the beginning of this episode, clearly, hard stuff to talk about.
Oh yeah, it sucks.
Like, I'm not sure it fits in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I'm really sure it doesn't fit in Bizarre Podcast Dogs Must Die. I don't think, but in order to try to conceptualize why I think that is, like, remember when cars went to space?
Yeah.
Remember when cars went to space and I was left wondering where there was room for escalation on that path?
Yeah.
I should have had that question after Kira.
Right.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Because that is really what Golden Wind, Vento Audio, is about, right? More weird, more extreme, more brutal, and at a point that makes a rape stand inevitable.
Yeah.
And once that is the point, you have to wonder, is that a good thing to be the point?
Mm-hmm.
A stand that is a baby that you teach, and a stand that fights from far away and you only have this limited line of communication are 2 really good ideas that are lost in a lot of very bad ideas and a frankly dull and uninteresting fight.
Yeah, I super agree. The stand just has way too much going on. It's really unfocused. There's no tension, and it's also even if the way the stand was created was not there, it's just it's dull. But with that element there, it just kind of makes it hard to pay attention to anything else. Because it happens right at the start, and the whole time you're just like, wow, that's gross. I hate this. And then you're seeing this bad fight on top of it, and it's just like, that was gross and I hate this.
It's so rare to get a woman in part 5 in particular.
Yeah.
I mean, in any part but Diamond is Unbreakable, frankly. But like, this is the second one, realistically. And her being such a nasty person. Like such a cruel and vindictive and petty, like just the worst person you would want to have on your train.
Yeah.
And is that supposed to make us make the impact of what happens to her less? Because it shouldn't. That's a fucking inhuman way to look at human beings, or, you know, even fictional ones.
Yeah. Yeah. It just comes off as weird and gross. And at least from what I've seen so far of later parts, Araki backs away from that type of stuff.
I mean, I've enjoyed so much of this show. I have faith. Like,
yeah.
Again, to go to that parallel, how do you escalate from cars being launched to space? You don't. You find a different kind of story to tell.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't have to make your villains even nastier to even nastier women. You don't have to do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's also just like every once in a while there is just a stand fight that comes with something really uncomfortable. Like the first and only other time this happened so far is
Alessi?
Yeah. Maybe not quite as bad as this one, because they can at least try to localize some of that away with Alessi. You can't really do that with this one. I don't know where I'm going with this. I just hate it. I hate it, and I hate Alessi too.
And so to switch tracks, you know, the things trains run on to rail stations, about the thing that really disappointed me about the White Ice fight is that this story... I mean, it's a very different complaint for coming from a very different angle. Please don't take my attempt at a segue as any attempt to equalize them in any way.
Yeah.
But JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, especially in its more travel-y parts, you know, globetrotting and Stardust Crusaders, you know, hitting all of the coolest, prettiest parts of Italy in Golden Wind, is really invested in the travel experience and what it's actually like, both in reality and in mood, in vibes, I guess.
Yeah.
And to have the story break around such ridiculous violations of what any tourist who's been to Venice would know. That statue is in the much more famous part of the city, not the fucking train station.
Yeah.
It seems like a cheap way to cram in landmarks for landmark's sake, instead of being a representation of the sort of place that Araki seems to truly love.
Yeah. It really sticks out. Like, I want to know why it is that way. And, like, it's the same in the manga, if I remember correctly. It's not like they changed it. Yeah, it just really sticks out because he, like, regardless of the place, he really wants to nail that stuff. And I would think he would especially want to do it with Italy, because he just seems to especially like Italy. Like, it pops up so much in all of JoJo. So, yeah, that part is disappointing. It's, like, I didn't realize it at first when I was watching it, but then I looked it up and I was like, wait a fucking minute. That's not where that should be. Yeah, aside from that stuff, I do enjoy the Ghiaccio fight. We're getting more teamwork. You know, we're getting some more Giorno stuff, and thankfully for this fight, the stuff Giorno does makes more sense.
Giorno's wild and woolly abilities are so much more engaging when they're coming up against somebody that works on a different set of rules, a different set of constraints.
Yeah.
The Black Sabbath fight, also way more engaging than the Babyface fight, when the two of them are basically doing the same thing in reverse, and Giorno's just like totally outmatching him, and there's no tension. there are certainly cool visual moments, but the narrative is not nearly as engaging as what Giorno does. Yeah, one episode later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just Giorno and Mista is a fun, like, it's a fun two set of powers to combine. Because, like, how the fuck is that going to work? And doing stuff like, hey, the bullets are still warm from being fired. I'll turn them into roots to snap the ice off is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sort of fury that Ghiaccio is animated with, we didn't talk too much about his character animation, but it's great. The exaggerated extension of his limbs when he's either like really going for it or being flung off into the distance.
Yeah.
Ghiaccio is a lot of fun to look at.
Yeah, that whole fight has a lot of really good animation moments, which the babyface fight does not have.
No.
Like, here's one of the things. The babyface fight also feels a lot harder to follow what's happening.
So they spend so much time trying to tell you what's happening.
Yeah.
And it all takes place in about 4 feet square.
Yeah, like keeping track of when did Golden Experience's hand get punched off? When and where is the real hand and the fake hand? Did he make 2 fake hands? Wait a minute. Like, when did he punch the motorcycle to turn into his hand? Like, it's so hard to keep track of. And it doesn't help that, it's almost just voiced manga panels instead of animation a couple of times. And yeah, that just makes that whole fight even more frustrating and annoying. And it's just so easy to just want to tune out for Babyface. At least it doesn't take up 2 full episodes. That's all I can say about Babyface. It's pretty quick compared to most other fights.
The actual, like, fight, right? Like, defined as Giorno looking down and seeing an empty Mr. President. I hate when I turn on the news and I see an empty Mr. President. Until the point where, Babyface explodes in fire. Fairly short, actually.
Yeah. It's like 10 minutes maybe at most.
Yeah.
And most of that's just talking. Again, I really want to see JoJo fights re-edited so they happen in real time and just see how short most of them would be. Because Babyface is like a minute.
Most of the Babyface fight would just be the motorcycle ride to get there.
Yeah.
So next week, we will have something new to talk about. 2 more episodes, 20 and 21, the final mission from the boss, and the mystery of King Crimson. Ooh. I'm sure Risotto and his wonderful jangly hat will be involved. So please join us in 1 week's time for that.
And until then, see you later.
To be continued.
Babyface sucks.